Lost is a comedy short film directed by Aaron Gillingham, and just like Easy Targets, it stars Aaron himself, along with Oliver Whitehead, who returns from Easy Targets. I really liked Easy Targets, however it definitely did have a few flaws. And now we've got a new short film, and it is completely different to Easy Targets. While Easy Targets was a really more serious drama, this is definitely a comedy. The premise is really short and simple, and that's something I really like about this movie. But then again, you kind of have to, considering the film's only 8 minutes long. The film is about someone played by Oliver Whitehead who's basically on his way to his friend's house. And he's basically walking there, however, he essentially gets lost in the cornfield. As he gets stuck in this cornfield, he basically tells his friend on the phone, and the rest of the film is basically him trying to get to the house by trying to follow directions of his friend, played by Aaron. And from that moment on, Lost becomes a very, very entertaining short film. Now, I'm going to keep this rather vague and short because, well, the film itself is really short, so there's not an awful lot to talk about. And there's also not really that many underlying themes for me to analyze here. It's really just about someone trying to get home and having trouble because he's lost in a cornfield. One of the strongest points about this movie is the fact that the comedy itself is really good. The standout performance for me was Oliver Whitehead as Johnny. He really had a lot of charisma and passion, and he was by far the highlight of this entire film. But what also makes this film work is the constant banter between Oliver Whitehead and Aaron himself. Throughout pretty much the entire film, they're basically on the phone talking to each other, trying to see if there's a way how they can get to the house. And the constant banter between them is hilarious.
There's a lot of corn.
I think you're in a cornfield, mate.
Well, yeah, I know I'm in a bloody cornfield.
I love how Oliver Whitehead's character is really just innocent and he's really just trying to get to the house. However, I love how cocky Aaron's character is. The writing is well executed and the film overall is really funny. The cinematography is also pretty good, but completely different to Easy Targets. Aaron and Oliver knew when to use wides, when to use close-ups, and basically they knew what they were doing with the camera, and it shows. There are very, very few camera angles in this film that I disagree with. But I do have a couple of minor issues with the cinematography in this film. Now, like I said in my review for Easy Targets was filmed in an aspect ratio. And that plus the grey colour grading really gave it a cinematic look. Lost, on the other hand, for some reason the aspect ratio is non-existent. It takes up the entire YouTube screen, which in my opinion is honestly kind of a step backwards, and I honestly really hope that for Aaron's next film, Strangers, really does continue with the aspect ratio because it really adds to the cinema look. There's also a certain moment towards the end of this film where Aaron sort of leaves the camera, like he walks past the camera, and what I'm pretty sure ends up happening is that he basically walks out of the camera frame, then he goes around the camera, and then pans it, and after that turns, something happens in that frame, which I think is pretty cool. However, the time span between Aaron leaving the frame and starting to turn the camera is a pretty long time. I do think that you could have used some editing tricks to really make it look a lot more seamless, because it just looks like that you are going around the camera and grabbing it. So maybe cut that bit short, because the camera is just staring at the one spot for a good few seconds. Also, this film has a lot of shots with Aaron in his bedroom, and the cinematography and the look and the color palette and everything looks fine in the cornfield and outside where Oliver is. However, the scenes in the bedroom I think need a bit of work, mainly because it's very yellow and it looks pretty unpleasant, and I definitely think some either better lighting or better color grading would have made the scene look a lot better. Also, the sound recording is a little bit inconsistent. For the most part, the recording of Oliver Whitehead's performance and dialogue is really solid and top notch. However, there are some times, like when he's really far away from the camera, where sometimes it's borderline hard to even hear what he's saying.
Twigs and trees and stuff like that. Why can't you come and pick me up? You've got a bloody car. Well, yeah, I'm following the pathway.
I also think that the recording for Aaron's dialogue in his bedroom also needs a little bit of work. So yeah, that's what I mean by inconsistent. So those are my few flaws, but I do think they're more really nitpicks than they are proper actual flaws. But overall, I love this short film. It's very, very entertaining. One of my favorite short films I've actually seen on YouTube. So that's why I'm going to give Lost an A. Guys, definitely check out this short film if you haven't seen it already. You can watch it right here. It is really, really good. Stay tuned for my next video, but until then, hasta la vista, baby.